Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at a couple of customs and traditions in Traveller. We're going to look at three specific ones. The first is going to be one from my own table. It's an old tradition that actually started when I was a player in Traveller early on, and another person was the group GM. And this was when we were running an active duty military campaign. So I didn't come up with this, but we as a group wanted to come up with some stuff that would kind of feel like a military kind of tradition, that sort of stuff. So we came up with the idea of the first toast. And this would be a toast that's held 1 hour after the ship goes into jump. The idea being that although you're still busy and there's still crews on station, the idea being that now that we're in jump, we have some time. So the idea became that everyone not on duty in the ship would enjoy a toast of whatever fluid their species or they personally wanted to imbibe. People on duty, of course, were not allowed to have alcohol, but would still have some type of drink. And at an hour, a chime would clang and first toast would be held and we'd go on. And that was kind of interesting because it did team build quite a bit aboard the ship. And it's amazing how a little thing like that helps kind of deepen the role-playing experience and makes you really kind of come together as a team. We carried this on later when I was GMing Traveller, a year or two later, when our original GM had moved on, and I was running a crew of a scout ship, active duty, but scouts being what they were, they still did first toast, but they would do it at their duty stations, and I had a couple of the players insist that they were drinking alcohol at their duty stations. And at first, I, as the GM, said, oh, no, wait a minute, and I thought, well, wait, it's the scouts. So I said, okay, that's fine, but anytime you are ever caught impaired in any way while on duty, it is a massive problem for you with your crew and in the scout service as a whole. Any kind of mark like that on your record basically is going to get you thrown out. So the players kind of embraced that too, and they said, okay, fine, we will drink on duty, we'll drink whenever we want, we are scouts, but we understand that if we're impaired in any way while we're on duty, then it's going to be a bad mark and probably going to get us thrown out of the service. That worked really well. I never had to do anything more with that, but it was interesting. So the second tradition I'm going to talk about today is jump dimming. I've always loved this. One of the things that brought me into Traveller, which is what made me think about doing a video like this, the different little customs and intricate details of the universe that make you really get wrapped up in it. And jump dimming is one of those. Jump dimming is simply Volani ships of old, when they were going to power up their primitive jump drives, they would have to divert all power to the drives, and they would have to dim the lights, and so the lights weren't drawing extra power that was needed for the drive. So with more efficient drives, you didn't need to do this anymore, but it became a tradition aboard Volani vessels to jump dim, to dim the lights as you went into jump, and for about 2 minutes until the jump bubble was established. It's just something that really grabbed me as a GM, and to this day, I still have players do it. Now, if the players have their own ship, they can decide whether to follow it or not. But I do discuss it with them, and I do recommend they do it. And right now, my current team does do jump dimming, which is pretty neat. I like that they've carried on this particular tradition from Traveller. And that's not original to my table. Jump dimming is something in the original books. And then the third one I want to discuss today is the low lottery. This was also something that really invested me in Traveller. For that, we're going to go to Core Rulebook 2022 Update. And we're going to flip to the passenger section. We're on page 158. And we're going to specifically look at low passage. Low passenger is frozen in a low berth and counts as cargo. So basically, you can't afford medium passage. You can't afford the food you'd consume in a week, all the other consumables you'd need in a week. You can pay less, but you go as a frozen person. Corpsicle, sometimes called, in Larry Niven's works. I know that wasn't living people, but in any case, corpsicle is a term we still use at my table. And the idea is the low passenger travels in cryogenic freeze and then comes out at the end of the trip. Well, some people don't come out of the cryogenic berth. Some die. And that's where the low lottery comes in. So first, low passage. Low passenger is frozen on a low berth and counts as cargo. There's a real danger to the passenger as a routine 6-up medical check. It's a 1 die times 10 minutes plus your intellect as a modifier, is required upon opening the capsule, applying the passenger's endurance die modifier to the check. So there's not a ton of danger, but if you throw snake eyes on this, you're dead. A further die modifier +1 is applied if the ship is tech level 12 or higher, while non-humans suffer a die modifier -2. I modify that. If you're a non-human but you're aboard a non-human vessel or a vessel that has specific equipment for non-humans, specifically of your race, I take out that DM. An emergency low berth inflicts a -1 DM on this check. Emergency low berth is the ship is really in peril, the life support's running out. You all take to the low berths to survive, and you get frozen and maybe survive, maybe don't. If the check is failed, the passenger does not survive. And here's the part about the low lottery. It is customary for the ship's captain to contribute 10 credits from each low passage towards a lottery, in which each low passenger randomly guesses how many will survive the trip. If the winner is among the dead, the captain keeps the prize. The lottery is administered by a ship's steward. That's neat. How barbaric, how primitive, and how still in the Third Imperium. I thought that was a really nice thing. That goes all the way back to Original Traveler. And the idea is if you have 12 passengers, you contribute each each fee for passage, the captain contributes 10 credits. The idea is that if you win the low lottery, you end up with some money to get started on your new life. And then each low passenger randomly guesses how many will survive the trip. Now, if there's only 12, you're going to have, somebody's going to win this. It's going to happen. But the idea is that you want to be the most accurate. And some low lotteries, too, will only take so many passengers and put in the lottery for them. And then they will be assigned a number rather than just picking a number like a football pool. And the low lottery will go forward from that. Now, the lottery is administered by a ship's steward, but the ship's steward can also be the guy that's bringing you out of the low passage. So maybe there's a chance he can get some kickback from the captain or some other low shenanigans, pun intended. So they might do something to make sure that not everybody quite comes out of the low freeze, the low berth. So it's just a way to build a little bit more life and a little bit more feeling that you're, hey, actually really there. And here we have the low lottery. I thought that was a really cool concept. Again, I was first introduced to that concept in Original Traveler. I don't know if it comes from other sources. It might come from science fiction somewhere that I'm not familiar with. If it does, please leave a comment below. I'd be interested in finding out. But I love the concept of low lottery. So there you have it. That's all I really wanted to talk about today, was just 3 traditions in Traveler. Ones that can be used to breathe some more life into your Traveler universe, and some more camaraderie, in some cases, into your Traveler ship and their crewmates. That's all I've got today from page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Please take a look at the Patreon and see if you can help me out there. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.